Ethan, there's a strange kind of silence that settles in a classroom when you realize someone's never going to notice you, not even by accident. For me, that someone was Lyra Vale. Back then, she sat by the window seat in the last row of St. Anselm High, quiet, unreachable, always sketching symbols in the margins of her notebook. Her hair caught the sunlight in silver streaks that looked too deliberate to be natural. Everyone thought she was dyed. I suspected otherwise. I used to think she ignored everyone because she was shy. But there were moments, tiny flashes, and when her eyes lifted and brushed past mine, like she'd been watching me the whole time and just didn't want to get caught. High school passed, as it always does. Unnoticed crushes, unsent messages, 1,000 maybe tomorrows. When graduation came, she walked across the stage, accepted her diploma, and never looked back. I remember that detail vividly. Her refusal to turn, even once, as if she knew looking would change something she wasn't ready to face. I told myself I'd forget her. Years later, I hadn't. It's funny how time erodes everything except the memories that hurt. I'm 24 now, living alone in a narrow apartment that smells faintly of coffee and cheap soldering iron smoke. I build custom drones for a living, freelance tech work, the kind that pays in instability and energy drinks. My nights are quiet, my world mechanical, until the night someone knocks at my door. 3 soft knocks. At midnight, the hallway outside my apartment flickers with half-working bulbs. I glance through the peephole and freeze. It's her. The girl who never looked back. She's standing there, soaked from rain that hasn't fallen in weeks, wearing a dark coat that glistens like oil under moonlight. Her hair, still that impossible silver, clings to her neck. Her eyes are brighter than I remember. Not gray, not blue, but something between starlight and static. And she's smiling at me. "Ethan Rowe?" she asks, her voice like a violin drawn over a broken string. Every thought I'd rehearsed over the years, every imaginary conversation, collapses. "Lyra?" I breathe. What are you doing here?" She hesitates. The smile fades. "I need a small favor." A tremor runs through her. For the first time, I notice how pale she is, almost translucent, as if light passes through her skin instead of reflecting off it. Before I can answer, she adds softly, "A small bite." Lyra, he still keeps his door locked 3 times. Some part of me had counted on that. The ordinary rituals of a human life. When I left Earth, I promised myself I'd never come back, never cross this threshold of memories. Yet here I am, trembling under a borrowed sky, listening to his heartbeat on the other side of a wooden barrier. It's louder than I remember. The air smells of metal and coffee. Things I used to pretend to love when I wore a human shape. Pretending was easier back then. You observe, you mimic, you take notes. You never feel. That was the first rule they gave us before the descent. Don't fall in love with them. Don't bleed for them. Don't drink from them unless authorized. I broke all 3. When Ethan opens the door, time folds. He looks older, his features rougher, shoulders broader. But his eyes still carry that bewildered warmth I once studied from afar. He says my name like a question and a prayer. "Lyra?" I want to tell him everything. The truth about who I am, what happened to me after graduation night, how my world collapsed, and how his image survived the ruin. But hunger coils in my throat, ancient and cruel. The edges of my vision pulse, I whisper. I need a small bite, because if I say what I really mean, I need you, I might forget why I came. He steps back, uncertain. "You're joking, right? Some kind of prank?" "I wish it were." "Please," I murmur, and my knees weaken. The world tilts. The fluorescent light above his doorway explodes in a spark. I smell ozone and iron, the scent of my own restraint snapping. Ethan catches me before I fall. His hands are warm. The pulse beneath his skin thrums like a star I could orbit forever. Ethan, I drag her inside before the neighbors see. She's freezing. Not shivering cold, but the kind of cold that feels deliberate, like the air around her refuses to touch her. When I press a hand to her forehead, my fingers go numb. She's whispering something under her breath, syllables I don't recognize. They sound old, like Latin written backward. Then her eyes open and I see them glow. Not the trick of light kind of glow. Actual luminescent, silver white, faint but real. My brain tries to explain it away. Contact lenses, reflection, optical illusion. But there's no explanation for what happens next. Her canines elongate, not grotesquely, just enough to glint when she exhales. She's crying. "Don't be afraid," she says. "I won't take much. I should run. I should scream. Instead, I say, 'You look like you haven't eaten in days.'" She lets out a broken laugh that sounds like relief. "Try years. Lyra, he doesn't pull away. That's what breaks me. Most humans would have screamed by now, called the police, thrown salt or prayers. Ethan just watches in the same way he used to watch me sketch constellations on my desk. Curious but kind. I lean closer. "You don't understand what this means." "Probably not," he says, voice trembling. "But I think you'd tell me if you could." I can't. The words would unravel him. Instead, I do the unthinkable. I let the hunger guide me. My fangs brush his skin, and the world stops. For a heartbeat, I taste warmth. Sunlight trapped in blood. Laughter I never earned, forgiveness I never asked for. His memories bleed into me. Late-night projects, loneliness, the way he used to look at me when he thought I wasn't looking back. He loved me. All this time he loved me. I pull away before the hunger takes everything. He stumbles, dizzy but alive. A thin red line marks his neck, I whisper. "Thank you," though the words feel too small for the mercy he's given. Outside, thunder rumbles. Unnatural, rhythmic, like engines tearing through clouds. They've found me. Ethan, she's staring out the window, eyes sharp with fear. The rain's turned black under the streetlight, thick as oil. Somewhere in the distance, something mechanical screams through the night. "Lyra," I say quietly. "What's going on?" She turns to me, her expression torn between longing and regret. "I came back for you," she says. "But they followed." "Ethan, the air outside my apartment window looks wrong. It's not just rain anymore, it's falling light. Threads of luminous particles twist and shimmer through the night sky like a broken aurora, reflecting in Lyra's eyes as she stands at the glass, unmoving. She doesn't blink, doesn't breathe. "Lyra," I whisper. "You said they followed. Who's they?" Her voice comes out flat, distant. "The ones who hunt what shouldn't exist. They call themselves the Purity Wing." The name hits with the weight of something ancient and bureaucratic at once. She doesn't explain, but her tone tells me they're not human, not even close. Before I can ask, she sways, catching herself against the wall. The faint mark on her lips gleams, not with blood, but light. I realize too late that her feeding didn't restore her. It only delayed something worse. Her skin flickers, fracturing into patterns like shards of crystal beneath the surface. She looks both solid and fragile, like she's dissolving from the inside out. "Hey, hey." I step forward, catching her arm. It's cold, but not dead cold. The kind of cold that burns like liquid nitrogen with a heartbeat. "What's happening to you?" She exhales shakily. "Atmospheric interference. The air on this planet isn't stable for my kind anymore. I stayed too long." "Too long," I echo. "You left, what, 6 years ago?" "You can't mean—" "I left Earth 10 of your years ago," she interrupts gently. "But where I come from, that's only one orbit cycle. And when I came back..." Her eyes soften. "You were still here." Still the same. I don't know what she means. But there's something in her gaze that makes the world feel smaller, like time itself bent to bring her to my door. Lightning tears through the clouds, splitting the sky in violet-white veins. I catch a glimpse of something descending through it. Not a plane. More like a cluster of blades spinning in liquid motion, glowing with geometric symbols that rearrange faster than my mind can follow. Lyra's voice hardens. "They've tracked my biosignature." "Your what?" She doesn't answer. Instead, she presses a palm against my chest, just over my heart. The air between us hums. "Ethan," she says quietly, "if they find me here, they'll erase everything. You, this place, your memories of me." Then we run. She blinks, startled. "You don't even know what you're saying. I know you came back after all these years. I know you're hurt. And I know you could have gone anywhere else. But you came to me. So yeah," I say, grabbing my jacket. We run. For the first time, she smiles, not the polite one from school, but something raw and real, as if she's seeing me for the first time. "You haven't changed," she whispers. "And you haven't aged a day," I reply. We share a look that lasts longer than it should, before another sound slices through the night, a low-pitched drone, resonant enough to rattle glass. The window behind her explodes inward. Lyra moves faster than humanly possible. Faster than physics allows. One moment she's across the room, The next, she's between me and the intruding blur of light. Her hand rises and a sharp pulse radiates from her palm, scattering shards mid-air. Outside, a hovering machine tilts, triangular, black, etched with moving gold script. It emits a single mechanical tone and fires again. Lyra grabs my arm. Down! The blast rips through the kitchen wall. Concrete screams. The world turns white. Lyra, he's still breathing. The explosion was measured on a warning shot. The Purity Wing never kills immediately. They prefer containment. And they won't stop until they've pulled every trace of me from this planet, including his blood. That thought alone nearly breaks my restraint. I glance at him through the haze. Ethan's coughing, dust and smoke mixing in his lungs, eyes wide with disbelief but not terror. His human stubbornness burns brighter than I remember. He looks at me as if the entire world's logic is shattered, but he's willing to accept it anyway. Are you okay? I ask. He laughs, short while disbelieving. You're the one glowing like a broken star and you're asking me that? My light, I can feel it flickering again. The feed was incomplete. I stopped before I could stabilize. My kind needs balance, emotion to ground, energy to sustain. But with him, the risk is too high. If I take too much, I'll link us permanently. He doesn't know what that means. Neither did I until it happened the first time, when the night before I left Earth. I bite down on the memory. Not yet. He's not ready, Ethan, I say, pulling him up. We have to move now. He nods, dazed but determined. Where? Anywhere dark. They can't track emotion through shadow. That makes 0 sense. Neither does loving someone you were sent to observe, I say too quietly, then regret the words the instant they leave my mouth. He stops, stunned. His heartbeat stumbles when I feel it like a vibration through my entire body. Ethan, Lyra said love. The word hangs there, trembling between us and the burning apartment. For a second, everything else, the drones, the rain, the madness, disappears. There's only her, standing against the glow of the ruined window, hair streaming like liquid silver, eyes full of something more than apology. Lyra, I start, but she cuts me off. Don't, please, I wasn't supposed to feel that way. It's why I left. The admission hits harder than the blast did. I don't have time to process it because the hum outside deepens, now joined by others. Multiple. They're surrounding us, she says. We need cover. I glance toward the alley. My drones, the custom ones I built, are still on the workbench. A stupid idea takes root. Can your kind track electronics? She frowns. Not precisely why. I grab 3 drones, jam the manual override switch, and program a decoy flight path. Because I can. I throw them into the night. They zip upward, scattering, flashing different infrared signatures. Outside, the black ships pivot, chasing false signals. Lyra stares, astonished. You misled them. Bought us a few minutes. Come on, she hesitates again. Why are you helping me? I stop halfway through the door. Because you never looked back, Lyra, and I always wondered what you were afraid of seeing. That's when she takes my hand. Her fingers are cool but steady, and for the first time I feel her pulse sync with mine. We run into the dark. Lyra, human contact shouldn't do this. It shouldn't rewrite the rhythm of my blood, but every step I take beside him, the link deepens. There's a reason I stayed away, a reason my kind forbade attachment. Emotion amplifies the hunger, and Ethan Rowe is a storm of it. Fear, protectiveness, defiance, all glowing like constellations in his chest. Every time I glance at him, my control fractures a little more. The rain slants sideways as we race through the empty streets. Above us, the alien vessels sweep the sky, silent, searching. The clouds shimmer with plasma trails. We duck beneath a concrete overpass. He collapses against the wall, breathing hard. I stay standing. I can't let him see how my hands shake. Are they human? He asks. No, I whisper. They're what your people would call purifiers. I was an observer, part of a study program. But I wasn't supposed to interact. I failed that rule when I met you. He stares at me, disbelief softening into something else. You mean, you were watching me? For 2 years. I look down, ashamed. You fascinated me. The way you cared about small things. Broken machines, stray animals, quiet people. My kind can't comprehend compassion without purpose. You had it naturally. I envied that, he chuckles weakly. So basically, I was your science project. My chest tightens. You were my reason, The silence that follows is almost unbearable. He steps closer. Then why'd you leave? Because the moment I loved you, they marked me defective. They erased my records, erased me. I wasn't supposed to survive, the memory cuts sharp. Their voices cold and unanimous, sentencing me to oblivion. I'd escaped through the dimensional fold, only to find the world I remembered had moved on. Except for him, I had to come back, I finish. Not for a bite. For closure. But when I look at him, standing there, rain-soaked, looking at me like I'm not a monster, I realize closure was a lie. What I wanted was this. His hand lifts slowly, hesitantly to my face. I don't move. His thumb brushes my cheek and warm against the chill. You're real, he says softly. And you're shaking. I'm hungry, I admit. But it's not blood this time. He doesn't understand. Maybe it's better that way. Ethan, the night hums with static. Overhead, the glowing ships drift farther, chasing my decoys into the horizon. For now, we're safe, but her expression says otherwise. What happens now? I ask. Her gaze flickers toward the skyline. They'll keep searching. They'll find this city before dawn. Then we leave it. It's not that simple. They can read traces, emotional signatures. And mine is tethered to you now. Meaning? Meaning, she says quietly. We're connected. My pulse mirrors yours. If I vanish, so will part of you. I stare, half in awe, half in dread. That's insane. Welcome, she says bitterly, to my reality. We sit there under the overpass, drenched in silence and rain. Her silver hair sticks to her face, and I catch myself thinking she's still the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, even if she's not entirely human. She notices my gaze. For a moment, her eyes soften again. You shouldn't have opened the door, Ethan. Yeah, I say, but if I hadn't, you'd still be alone. She turns away, voice trembling. You have no idea what that means to me. Lightning flashes. In its brief light, I swear I see tears. Not of water, but faint glimmers of light trailing down her cheeks. I reach for her hand, and for the first time, she doesn't pull away. Ethan, the city feels unreal tonight. Half drowned in rain, half illuminated by strange glows that don't belong to any power grid I know. Lyra walks beside me through the alleyways, her coat dragging light behind her like a shadow that forgot how to stay dark. We've been walking for hours, avoiding cameras, neon, anything that might record us. She says they can trace energy signatures through electronics. That's ironic considering I make my living wiring machines. The quiet between us isn't awkward. It's heavy, like the air before a confession. Are you in pain? I ask finally. She hesitates, as if the answer is too complicated for language. Not pain, dissonance. My body's adapted to a different spectrum of light. Staying here burns slowly. Then why stay? Her gaze flicks toward me, and for a heartbeat the rain stops between us. Because of you. There's no playfulness in her tone, no irony. Just a simple truth. I look away, pretending not to notice my pulse spike. You could have warned me. Maybe sent a postcard. Hey Ethan, it's your old classmate, now a cosmic vampire fugitive. She laughs softly. You still make jokes when you're terrified. I'm not terrified, I lie. You're trembling. So are you, I counter. She smiles, a small, tired curve that looks like the last light before sunrise. That's different. I'm starving. We find shelter in an abandoned observatory on the city's outskirts. I'd been here once years ago when I was fixing a research drone for a physics grad student. Now it's deserted. The perfect hideout for an alien vampire girl and the human idiot helping her. Inside, dust hangs in the air like faded starlight. Broken telescopes lean against the walls. The main dome is cracked open, revealing a slice of moon framed by drifting clouds. Lyra moves toward it instinctively, her silver hair catching what's left of the night's glow. Your moon, she murmurs, always fascinated me. A dead world worshipped as a god. You talk like you've seen better. I have. She smiles faintly, but none as beautiful. Her body sways. I reach out, steadying her before she collapses. Her skin is ice again and colder than before. I can feel her heartbeat fading under my hand, faint and uneven. You need to feed, I say quietly. She flinches. You don't understand what that means. Then explain it. She closes her eyes. My kind doesn't drink blood for survival. We absorb frequency. The blood carries emotion, memory, and fragments of a soul. That's what keeps us anchored. I process that slowly. So when you bit me, I saw you, she whispers. Your loneliness, your hope. Your stubborn light. I almost didn't stop. My breath catches. You mean you could have ended you, she says, voice breaking. But I couldn't, not you. Silence stretches again. Outside, thunder rolls across the horizon, distant and tired. Then I do something stupid. Or maybe inevitable. I take her hand and press it gently against my neck. Take what you need, I say. Her eyes widen, horrified. No, you don't know what you're offering. I do. You said you're dying. She pulls away, shaking her head. It's not that simple. Feeding links us permanently. I'll see what you see, feel what you feel. You'll carry my hunger, my darkness. It doesn't fade. I already feel half of that, I whisper. So maybe it's too late. Her expression softens. Disbelief, sadness, longing, all tangled together. You'd really let me? Yes. For a long moment, she studies me like she's memorizing the lines of my face, not as a scientist, but as someone terrified of forgetting. Then she steps closer, slow and deliberate, until I can feel the cool whisper of her breath against my skin. Her fangs descend, small and precise, gleaming faintly in the starlight leaking through the dome. Ethan, she whispers, if I lose control, you won't. How do you know? Because you came back. That's the last thing I manage before her lips touch my neck. The world falls away. Lyra, his blood isn't like it was before. It's stronger, denser with emotion, full of everything he's held back for years. I taste grief, tenderness, defiance, warmth. I taste him. The hunger roars through me, trying to seize control, to drown the moment in instinct. But I fight it. I hold on to the part of me that remembers what love felt like before it became forbidden. Light spreads under my skin, luminous veins threading through my arms, my throat, my eyes. The pain that's been eating me dissolves into music. My body stabilizes. The world sharpens, and then connection, not the kind my kind fears. This one feels alive. His memories unfurl like constellations. Childhood laughter, empty classrooms, nights staring at the same stars I used to chart. I see myself through his eyes, the quiet girl by the window, unreachable, mysterious. And underneath it all, his belief that I was more than I seemed. He never stopped believing. Tears burn behind my eyes. I pull away before the hunger can twist into something monstrous. He slumps, breathing hard, color drained from his face, but alive. Radiant even. The bond pulses faintly between us, a thread of light under my skin leading straight to his heart. Are you? He gasps. Done? Yes, I whisper. For now. He opens his eyes, dazed. That was different. You felt it too? I saw something, he says slowly. The stars. A city that wasn't Earth, you, floating in some kind of chamber. My stomach tightens. You shouldn't have seen that, he manages a faint smile. Guess the connection works both ways. Ethan, I don't know how to describe it. The sensation of her inside my thoughts, not intruding, just present. Like a quiet echo that matches my heartbeat. She looks calmer now, her skin warmer, her color returning. For the first time since she appeared, she looks alive. So, I say, trying to sound casual, now we're, what, linked? Psychic pen pals? Her lips twitch. Something like that. Except if one of us dies, the other follows. I blink. You could have led with that. I was hoping to spare you the panic. Too late. She laughs. And the sound is like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Then her laughter fades, replaced by a seriousness that chills me more than the night air. Ethan, you've done something irreversible. My kind will feel this link. They'll know I've bonded with a human. Good, I say. Then they'll know you're not alone. Her eyes soften. You don't understand what that defiance costs. Maybe not. But I know what losing you costs. For a second, she looks like she might cry again. Instead, she steps closer until our foreheads touch. Her breath smells faintly metallic, like rain over circuitry. Ethan Rowe, she murmurs. You're the bravest fool I've ever met. Thanks, I whisper. I think. Lyra. The bond hums quietly, a rhythm beneath the world. I feel his heartbeat in sync with mine, his thoughts like distant ripples brushing against my mind. It's dangerous, intoxicating, but it feels right. Outside, dawn begins to bleed into the sky. I watch the light crawl through the cracked dome and know we don't have long. The Purity Wing will find us again. They always do. But for now there's peace, fragile, borrowed, precious. I glance at him. He's fallen asleep against the wall, head tilted, breathing steady. His pulse glows faintly under his skin, echoing through the bond like a lullaby. For the first time in a decade, I feel safe. I kneel beside him, tracing a strand of his hair back from his forehead. "You shouldn't have let me in," I whisper. "But I'm so glad you did." Somewhere in the distance, thunder mutters again, or maybe it's the low hum of ships cutting through the atmosphere. The universe is already stirring, ready to tear us apart. But tonight, just for this moment, I let myself believe in something my kind calls impossible. Love. Lyra. There are moments in the human world that seem small. A glance, a smile, the way sunlight passes through rain, but for someone like me, they are galaxies. Humans don't know how precious they are, how rare their fragility feels in a universe carved by steel and silence. I came here to study them, to watch, record, understand, not to feel. And yet I remember the first time I saw Ethan. It was the first day of my assignment on Earth, a school in the human city of Blue Haven. My species had chosen that location carefully. Small, quiet, statistically low risk of emotional entanglement. I was 17 in appearance, though I had lived for 70 cycles back home. We aged differently, if at all. The body I wore was synthetic, grown in a genetic shell designed to hold a portion of my energy core. My real form, plasma and memory intertwined, was sealed deep inside. To the human eye, I was just another girl. But even then, I wasn't good at pretending. Ethan noticed. He was always curious, always trying to make me laugh. He'd drop a pen on purpose, ask for notes he already had, whisper something funny just to see if I'd respond. And I never did. I couldn't. Emotional connection meant instability, and instability meant exposure. If a human made me feel something too deeply, the mask could break. What I couldn't tell him was that even his smallest gestures affected me more than any data I'd collected. Every time he smiled, my pulse alignment faltered. His laughter disrupted the quantum rhythm of my containment field. I was drawn to him like a magnet to starlight, but I ignored him. I had to. Our mission wasn't about friendship or love, it was about survival. My kind had lost our world centuries ago, consumed by the suns we once worshipped. Now we drifted, feeding off the energy we could extract from compatible species, humans being the closest match. We didn't drink blood because we enjoyed it. We did it because it kept us alive. When the veil between our worlds weakened, I was recalled. My observation ended, but I never filed my final report. I left Earth silently, carrying something forbidden inside me, the memory of a human boy's kindness. Back on my ship, orbiting the red nebula of the Veil cluster, my superiors sensed it immediately. Emotion emits light in our species, an aurora within the core. I was interrogated. I lied, but the truth burned. They said humans were too unstable, too impulsive. They said attachment to them would unravel us, that their chaotic emotions were poison. They were right. And yet, that poison was the only thing that ever made me feel alive. When the great collapse happened, when the transport between dimensions failed and I was stranded in the shadow of Earth, I didn't fight it. Part of me wanted to come back. Part of me wanted to find him. Years passed differently for me. I drifted through cities, surviving on synthetic plasma reserves until they failed. My energy decayed. I needed real blood to stabilize again, but I didn't dare take from humans. Then I saw his face again. He was older now, stronger, but the same warmth radiated from him, and something inside me whispered, "He's still the one." When I approached his door that night, I didn't go as a predator. I went as someone who had nowhere left to go. I didn't just need his blood. I needed the part of him that once looked at me without fear, because when Ethan smiled at me all those years ago, it wasn't out of curiosity or pity. It was recognition, like he had seen something buried inside me, something even I didn't understand. Now, as I sit across from him in the dim light of his apartment, his pulse still steady despite what I've done, I feel the universe folding into silence. He should hate me. He should fear me. But when I meet his gaze, all I see is concern. "You're still cold," he says softly, offering me a blanket. Human gestures. "Simple, useless, beautiful things, Lyra," he says. "What are you running from?" I want to tell him everything. About the council that condemned me, the hunters who will come, the starfields that burned. But the words twist in my throat. Instead, I whisper, "From myself." He looks at me like he understands. That's the danger with humans. They make you believe you're worth saving. That night, when he fell asleep on the couch, I stood by the window and looked up at the stars. They looked so much dimmer here. On my world, each one sang. On Earth, they only watched. Still, I closed my eyes and listened for them, and for the first time in a century, I heard them answer. Faint, distant, and full of memory. A song of warning and of love. The memory of stars is eternal, but so is the ache of losing one. And I knew, as surely as I once knew the map of the constellations, that if the others found me, if the enforcers traced the energy signature of my feed, they would destroy everything, Ethan included. I turned back toward him, sleeping peacefully, unaware of what was coming. The faint glow in my veins pulsed once, warning me. They had found me. Ethan, when I woke up, the first thing I noticed was the silence. The kind that feels heavy, alive, like the air itself is waiting. The second thing was her. Lyra stood by the window again, the early dawn bleeding through the curtains, painting her skin in pale gold. She didn't look human in that light. She looked like something sculpted from the dawn itself, fragile, eternal, and impossibly sad. Did you sleep at all? I asked, my voice still rough with dreams. She didn't answer right away. Just turned slightly, enough for me to see the faint shimmer in her eyes. No, I don't sleep much anymore. There was a stillness in her, not peace, but restraint. Like she was holding back something massive, invisible. I rubbed my face and stood, trying to shake off the drowsiness. My head still buzzed faintly from the night before, from her bite. Every time I remembered it, the rush of light, the flicker of alien visions, my pulse quickened in a way I couldn't explain. I walked closer to her, slow, deliberate. You said someone might be looking for you. Her shoulders stiffened. Yes. Who? The ones who made me, she said softly. They'll come to erase what I've done. The way she said erase made my blood go cold. You mean, kill you? Her lips parted, then closed again. She didn't answer. That silence said more than words ever could. I wanted to reach out to touch her shoulder, but I hesitated. There was a shimmer around her, faint like heat rising off metal. Energy, maybe. Something alien. Something that warned, careful, she's not yours to hold. And yet, when I finally placed my hand gently against her arm, that shimmer pulsed once and softened. Her eyes met mine. There was fear there, and something deeper, something dangerously close to affection. Lyra, his touch anchors me. It shouldn't, but it does. When I feel his warmth seep through my skin, the world quiets. The hum of my decaying energy stabilizes, the static in my head fades. I've tried for years to replicate that feeling, with machines, with plasma feeds, even with my own kind. But none of it worked. Only him. His blood didn't just nourish me. It bonded us. That wasn't supposed to happen. My species calls it the convergence effect, when a feeding link crosses into the emotional field. It means the host's neural patterns and my energy core begin to harmonize. It's dangerous. It's irreversible. I should leave him before it deepens. But I can't. He's the only reason I still feel human. You shouldn't have helped me, I whisper, my voice trembling. He frowns. What was I supposed to do? Let you die? I turn away. Yes? He laughs quietly, not cruelly, just disbelieving. You really don't understand people, do you? I almost smile. You think humans are better than us? No, he says. I think you're better than you believe. Those words hit harder than any weapon could, because they echo something I once believed about myself, before I became what I am now. Later that day, we sit together in silence. He's working on his laptop, pretending not to watch me. I pretend not to notice. Every so often our eyes meet and it feels like gravity shifts slightly. He makes tea, insists I try some, though I can't really taste it. It's not about the flavor, he says, handing me the mug. It's about warmth, the way he says it. I almost believe warmth is something I can still feel. But beneath that fragile peace, I sense movement. In the distance, above, the faint vibration of dimensional interference, the kind that precedes arrival. They're here. My pulse flares blue for an instant. Ethan notices. Lyra, you okay? I force a smile. Fine, just adjusting, but I know what's coming, the enforcers. My former kin. They'll trace the energy resonance from my feed, from him, which means Ethan is now a beacon. I can't let them find him, Ethan, something's off. I can feel it in the way she keeps glancing toward the window, the way her fingers twitch like she's listening to something I can't hear. When I try to ask, she deflects. But I see it, the fear she's hiding under that calm exterior. Then without warning, the lights flicker. A low hum fills the air like a faraway engine. My phone dies instantly. She's standing now, her eyes glowing faintly. They've crossed the veil, she whispers. Who? My kind. The hum grows louder, a vibration deep enough to rattle the windows. The air outside bends, a distortion forming in the sky like heat mirage but vertical, alive. They're coming for me, she says. And if they find you, they'll kill me. And erase you, I grab her wrist. Then we leave. She looks at me, shocked, almost pained. You don't understand. If you stay near me, they'll sense your energy through mine. Then they'll have to catch us first. For a long moment, she just stares at me, like she's seeing something impossible. Then she nods, slow, reluctant. Ethan, she says softly, you're going to regret this. Too late, I answer. I already fell for you. She flinches like the words burned her. Maybe they did. That night we run. Through empty streets washed in neon and rain. Past sleeping buildings and electric silence. Her hand in mine feels cold but alive, trembling but determined. Above us, the stars look closer than ever and like witnesses. I don't know where we're going, or how long we can stay ahead of whatever's chasing her. But for the first time in years, I feel something worth dying for. And when I glance at her, the faint glow in her eyes isn't hunger anymore. It's hope. Ethan, by the time the sun rises, we're far from the city. The streets we pass are empty, half awake, the world oblivious to the storm that's about to descend on it. We don't speak much. The only sound is the rhythm of our steps and the hum of the highway beneath the tires of the borrowed car. I don't even remember how I convinced her to get in, just that her eyes softened for a moment and she whispered, if we run together. Now the horizon is glowing pink, and she's staring out the window, silent as the sky. What happens when they find us? I ask finally. They won't stop, she says. Not until I'm gone. And me? She hesitates. You're already marked. My energy field imprinted on you when I fed. They'll sense you the same way they sense me. I let out a breath. So we're both targets. Yes, I can tell she's blaming herself. Every word she says carries that quiet ache. The kind that comes from lifetimes of running, losing, surviving. You should have let me die. She murmurs suddenly. Not happening, I say. When she finally turns to look at me, there's something in her gaze that makes the world shrink. Fear, yes, but also something gentler. You don't even know what I am, she says softly. Then tell me. Her lips part, but before she can answer, the sky flashes. It starts as a shimmer. Faint, high above the clouds, like a mirror bending. Then a sound like tearing glass splits the air. The radio goes dead. The temperature drops 10 degrees instantly. Lyra grips the dashboard, her eyes wide. They've breached the veil. What does that mean? It means they're here. The car's engine sputters. I barely manage to pull over before it dies completely. The air hums thick and electric. When I step out, my hair stands on end. Then I see them. 3 figures descending from the distortion above, silhouettes against the pale dawn, wrapped in metallic veils that ripple like liquid light. No wings, no engines, and they simply fall with elegance, touching the road without sound. Their eyes burn with the same faint silver glow as Lyra's. Enforcers, she whispers. Lyra, they move like ghosts, silent and certain. I recognize the markings on their armor. The crest of the Veil Council etched in light. Order through purity. I was one of them once. Now I am their mistake. The leader steps forward. Lyra Veil, he says, his voice vibrating through dimensions, half echo, half thought. By decree of the Veil Council, you stand accused of contamination and emotional corruption. I can barely breathe. Ethan stands slightly in front of me, instinctively protective. It's foolish but beautiful. Leave him, I plead. He has nothing to do with our world. The enforcer tilts his head. You shared essence with a human. He is now part of the breach. He will be purged. Ethan stiffens. Not happening. The enforcer turns toward him, curious. You'd defend her, human? Even knowing what she is? I don't care what she is, Ethan says. She's not your experiment anymore. For a heartbeat, silence. Then laughter, sharp and cruel. Attachment confirmed, the enforcer says. You see, Lyra? This is why your kind cannot mingle with theirs. His hand rises, not to strike but to command. The air vibrates. Lyra feels it too late. Energy slams into her, invisible, searing. Her body flickers between forms, half human, half light. She cries out, falling to her knees. Stop! Ethan yells, running toward her. But another enforcer steps forward, blocking him. The being doesn't move. The air itself restrains Ethan, locking him in place. You can't win, the leader says. Surrender and the human's erasure will be quick. Lyra lifts her head, eyes blazing. You'll have to kill me first. The leader's voice darkens. So be it. Ethan, time shatters. One moment I'm standing helpless. The next, the world explodes in light. Lyra rises, her body glowing like molten silver, her hair fanned by unseen winds. The ground trembles beneath her. Her voice, when it comes, isn't human. It's something vast, cosmic, terrifying. You left me to die, she says, her tone echoing through my bones. Now you'll see what death feels like. She moves faster than thought. The first enforcer barely raises his hand before she slams into him. A burst of white fire that sends him spinning into the sky. The second attacks from behind, blades of light forming from thin air. But she turns, her energy coiling like a solar flare, and the blades dissolve in a burst of gravity. I've never seen anything like it. She's fury and grace at once, in a living constellation. But it's too much. I can see it tearing her apart. Every time she strikes, her form destabilizes, light fracturing into shards before reforming. Lyra. I shout, stop. You'll kill yourself! She doesn't hear me, or maybe she can't. The leader of the enforcers, untouched, watches calmly. Then he raises a device from his wrist, a prism of shifting light. You're still bound to your host, he says. Let's see how strong your humanity really is. A beam fires, straight at me. Lyra screams. The blast hits my chest, or it should have. But something intercepts it. Lyra's form shatters in front of me, absorbing the blow. The energy burns through her, the glow fading. She collapses into my arms, her skin pale as ash. No, I whisper. No, stay with me. Her eyes flutter open. You shouldn't have stayed. Not leaving you now, I say, choking. The enforcers fade, dissolving into light. They've done enough. They'll return to finish it later. And as the last one disappears, I hold her tighter. Her pulse is faint, but there. Ethan, she whispers, listen carefully. If I don't make it, you will. You have to find the Starwell. It's the only place I can heal. Where is it? Her eyes glimmer weakly. Where the sky meets the sea, where the stars fall into water. Then she goes still. And in that silence, under the breaking dawn, I realize I'm holding not just the girl I once loved, but the key to something that could change humanity forever. The city had swallowed them whole. Neon light bled across glass towers, flickering over rain-soaked streets where no one looked twice at a man and woman walking too close, too fast, too quiet. Ethan and Lyra moved through the noise like shadows, their reflections fractured in puddles that rippled under the storm. They'd been on the run for 3 days. The enforcers, Lyra's kind, were hunting them through the human networks, tracing every signal, every electromagnetic pulse she gave off. They could feel her presence like a star trembling in the void. And Ethan, now partially connected to her through blood resonance, was glowing on their scanners too. Keep your head down, she whispered as they slipped through a crowded train station. Your kind looks everywhere but never sees. Let's hope my kind is worse. Her hood concealed the silvery shimmer of her hair. Ethan had cut his own to change his look, leaving tufts uneven. They moved in silence through the crowd, his pulse syncing with hers. 2 heartbeats crossing species, frequencies, worlds. When they reached the far platform, she guided him into an abandoned service tunnel beneath the old rail lines. The air was thick with rust and old electricity. Her bioluminescent veins shimmered faintly under her skin as she pressed a hand against the metal wall. The surface responded. Folding open like a curtain of light, Ethan stared. What is this place? My world touches yours through frequencies. I left a refuge here long ago, hidden in the interference between your signals. Inside was a small chamber, lit by the soft glow of hovering geometric forms. They pulsed gently like heartbeats on alive, aware, waiting. Lyra stepped closer and they reacted to her presence, their colors deepening from blue to violet. "They remember me," she said softly. "This is where I first learned about your kind. Your music, your chaos, your strange, beautiful sadness. I thought I could understand it without feeling it." Ethan watched her. "And did you?" She turned to him. "No, I had to feel it through you." They stayed there for hours, breathing in the hum of energy that seemed to thrum between dimensions. For the first time in days, Lyra wasn't trembling. She was still centered, almost glowing. Ethan could see that her connection to this hidden chamber recharged her somehow, filling her veins with soft starlight. "Your world must be incredible," Ethan said. Lyra hesitated, her voice quiet. "It was, but beautiful things aren't always kind. We are a civilization that forgot how to feel. When we discovered human emotion, it became an addiction. We studied you like fire. Too close and we burned. Too far and we froze." Ethan sat beside her on the cold metal floor. "Then why did you stay? Why didn't you just leave me alone?" Her eyes flickered, twin galaxies struggling between duty and love. "Because your heart made a sound my world had forgotten. When you smiled at me back in school, it was the first time I felt warmth that wasn't from a sun." The confession landed like a meteor. For a moment, the space between them was alive with everything unsaid. Ethan reached for her hand. Cold, trembling, but real. The moment shattered when the walls pulsed red. The chamber flickered. "They found us," Lyra whispered. They breached the frequency. The air rippled as the portal behind them burst open. 3 figures stepped through, tall, armored, with silver eyes burning like moons. "The enforcers of the Empire, Lyra of the Starborn line," the lead one said in a deep, resonant tone. "You are charged with contamination of a primitive species and emotional fusion with a human. Surrender, or your resonance will be erased." Ethan stepped in front of her instinctively. "You'll have to go through me." The enforcer regarded him coldly. "We will." But before he could move, the chamber's lights flared. Lyra raised her hand, her body outlined in energy. "You can't erase what's already become something else," she said. "He's part of me now." His heartbeat echoes in my starlight. And then, the chamber exploded in color. Electric blue and crimson light spiraled together, wrapping around Ethan and Lyra in a cocoon of living resonance. The enforcers staggered back, shielding their faces as the energy grew brighter, merging human emotion and alien code into something new. When the light faded, Ethan was standing, alive, unharmed, his veins faintly glowing. His pulse wasn't human anymore. Lyra stared at him, awe and fear trembling in her eyes. "Ethan, what have we done?" He looked down at their joined hands, feeling both heartbeats beating as one. "Maybe something your world needed," he said softly. "A reason to remember what it feels like to love." Outside, the storm broke over the city, and above it, in the far sky, stars began to flicker in new patterns. The hunters had been repelled, but the signal of what they'd become had already reached the stars. The rain had turned to mist by the time they reached the outskirts of the city. The air smelled like electricity and smoke. Every screen, every signal tower had glitched for miles when the resonance chamber exploded. They had rewritten physics for a heartbeat, and the world had noticed. Ethan could still feel the energy inside him, pulsing faintly beneath his skin like a second heart. Every time Lyra looked at him, the glow in his veins flickered in response. They didn't need words anymore. Their connection hummed through silence like a song shared between stars. They found refuge in an abandoned observatory. Once humans had used it to look at the cosmos. Now shattered glass and broken telescopes pointed toward nothing but clouds. Ethan pulled his jacket tighter as he entered, scanning the empty dome. Lyra followed him inside, her steps quiet, her aura dimmed. "They'll come again," she said softly. "The resonance shock reached orbit. The Empire knows I'm alive, and that you exist. Let them come," Ethan said. "I'm done running," she gave a tired smile. "You're brave. Or foolish. Maybe both," he admitted, meeting her eyes. "But I can't lose you. Not again." Something in her expression shifted. The stoic alien calm breaking, replaced by a tremor of human emotion she no longer knew how to hide. "You don't understand what I am, Ethan. My kind doesn't live linear lives. We exist across frequencies. If I stay too long here, time will bend around us. You'll age." "I won't, then bend it," he said quietly. "Bend it with me." That night the sky outside turned red, auroras spilling through the clouds like veins of light. It wasn't natural. It was a signal. The Empire had opened a rift, a cosmic tear above the atmosphere preparing to retrieve her by force. Lyra stood before the cracked glass dome, her silhouette glowing against the crimson light. "They're calling me back," she whispered. "The rift's pull will grow stronger by dawn." Ethan stepped beside her. "Then let's make this night count." She turned toward him, the soft glow from the aurora catching in her silver eyes. He could see the war within her, duty against love, logic against longing. "You don't know what happens when our kinds connect fully," she warned. "A resonance bond can fuse timelines, memories, lifespans, even souls." "I don't care," he said. "If loving you burns through time, then let it." The words hung in the air, fragile, infinite. Then she closed the distance between them. Her kiss was nothing like the feeding from before. It wasn't hunger. It was surrender. The world around them began to shimmer, the walls of the observatory fading into light. His heartbeats aligned with hers, perfectly synchronized, until there was no telling which pulse belonged to whom. Through the bond, Ethan saw flashes, stars collapsing, cities floating above alien oceans, children with eyes of silver and laughter like wind. He saw her memories, her loneliness, her exile, and in return she felt his childhood laughter, heartbreak, the long ache of a boy who once watched her walk away in silence. The universe folded around their connection. Time stopped. Space stretched like silk. They were no longer in the observatory but suspended in pure resonance, a field of endless color and sound. Lyra's voice echoed through it. "This is the crossing point. If we stay, you'll never be human again. Then I'll be whatever you are," Ethan answered. "Because I'm already half of you." A tear, bright as starlight, slid down her cheek. "You were never supposed to exist in my world. Then maybe your world was waiting for me." When the light receded, they were both kneeling on the observatory floor. The aurora outside had dimmed, replaced by calm starlight. The rift was still open, but now it pulsed differently, no longer a weapon, but a bridge. Lyra touched her lips, trembling. "We've changed the pattern. The resonance has rewritten itself." Ethan exhaled, the glow in his veins softening into gold. "Does that mean you can stay?" She looked up at the sky. "It means they can't touch me anymore." He smiled faintly. "And us?" Lyra's hand reached for his, fingers weaving together. "We exist between heartbeats now, between your world and mine. Wherever time forgets to count." They stood together beneath the stars, no longer fugitives but anomalies in love. The Empire would come to understand what had happened here. A new kind of resonance had been born, one fueled not by hunger or dominance, but by devotion. For the first time since she arrived on Earth, Lyra felt free. And Ethan, for the first time in his life, felt infinite. The morning came softly, almost hesitantly, as if the world itself feared to disturb what had just been reborn in the night. The rain had stopped. Sunlight filtered through the shattered roof of the observatory, glinting off the glass like fallen stars. Ethan lay half asleep beside Lyra, her head resting against his chest. For a moment everything was quiet, a silence that hummed with peace, but also with the awareness that it couldn't last. Lyra's body was colder than his, yet he could feel her pulse, faint, rhythmic, in sync with his. Two heartbeats had become one resonance. Her skin glowed faintly in the sunlight, as if the human warmth of his blood was changing her from the inside out. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, almost mournful. "You're changing, Ethan." He blinked, still dazed. "What do you mean?" "Your cells are adapting. My energy is rewriting you. Your body's learning to hold starlight." He sat up, the realization sinking in like gravity. His veins faintly shimmered beneath the skin, golden threads pulsing with something beyond human life. "So what happens now? Do I become one of you?" Lyra looked away. "That's the choice you'll have to make." They spent the morning exploring the aftermath of what they had done. The city below was waking up again. Traffic returning, signals stabilizing, people unaware that a cosmic event had unfolded above their heads. But up here, inside the observatory, reality still shimmered at the edges. The space between worlds had thinned, and the rift still hovered like a wound in the sky, glowing softly, breathing. Lyra walked toward it, her steps echoing on the marble floor. The Empire won't come again. They can't. The resonance between us changed the frequency of the rift. It no longer answers to them. Ethan joined her, the light from the rift reflecting in his eyes. So it's safe? Safe, she whispered, but unstable. It's a bridge now, between here and where I came from. He stared at the rippling portal, mesmerized. You mean you could go back? She nodded slowly. Yes, but not as who I was. Not anymore. Her gaze shifted toward him, heavy with emotion. You've seen my memories. You know what my world is like. Cold, beautiful, endless. But it's not built for hearts. It consumes what it doesn't understand. Love is poison there. Then stay, he said instantly. Stay here with me. She smiled sadly. If I stay, the resonance will keep feeding on you. You'll burn out in months, maybe weeks. Humans weren't designed to carry cosmic energy. Ethan took a deep breath. Then what's the other choice? Lyra turned fully toward him, her eyes glowing silver again. You cross over. You become what I am. You'll stop aging, stop dying. But you'll stop being human too. Her words hung between them, not a threat, but a promise. He paced the observatory, trying to breathe through the storm inside him. Immortality. The word itself felt unreal, like something stolen from myth. Yet here it was, gone alive, possible, staring him in the face. He looked at his hands. The glow under his skin had grown stronger, threads of energy tracing the veins. He could feel his senses sharpening. Every heartbeat in the room, every shift of light on her skin. Would I still be me? Lyra's expression softened. Your memories, yes. Your emotions, maybe. But you'd start to feel differently. Time wouldn't touch you the same way. The human part of you would fade. He swallowed hard. And if I don't? She stepped closer, lifting her hand to his cheek. Then I'll seal the bond. I'll take back the resonance. You'll live. But you won't remember me. That broke something in him. Forget you? He said, voice raw. It's the only way you'll survive as you are, she whispered. If I don't erase the connection, it'll consume you. Ethan's heart hammered. She was offering him two deaths, one of the body, one of the soul. He cupped her face, his voice trembling. I've spent my life feeling invisible, Lyra, until you came back. Until you knocked on my door that night, I thought I'd forgotten what it felt like to matter. And now you want me to live without remembering the only thing that ever made me feel alive. Lyra's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I don't want to lose you. Then don't. They stood before the rift, human and alien, heart and starlight, choices burning in their chests. The wind howled through the cracks of the observatory, carrying dust and whispers of another world. Lyra raised her hand. A sphere of light appeared, pure resonance, the very essence of her being. It pulsed gently in her palm, golden and silver like a miniature sun. If you take this, she said, you'll cross over. You'll become like me, part of the starborn line, eternal but exiled from the human rhythm. No more aging, no more sleep, no more time. Ethan looked at the light, then at her. And if I don't? Her voice broke. Then I'll make you forget me and I'll return to the stars. You'll wake up tomorrow and think last night was just a dream. He took a step closer, his hand trembling as it reached for hers. If immortality means losing what makes me human, then maybe it's not living at all. But if forgetting you means living without my heart, that's not living either. For a long, aching moment, neither of them moved. Then Ethan smiled faintly, tears in his eyes. So I'll take the third option. She frowned, confused. There isn't one. There is now, he said. We'll share it. Half your essence, half my soul. We'll balance it, not vampire, not human. Something in between, something new. Lyra stared at him, stunned, afraid, in awe. That's impossible. Ethan's voice was quiet but sure. So was falling in love with you. The moment he touched the light in her hand, the world erupted. A surge of brilliance poured through both of them, gold and silver threads weaving their essences together. The rift above exploded into a storm of energy. Lightning spiraling outward in celestial rings. The earth shuddered. The stars flickered. When it was over, Ethan was kneeling, breathless but alive. The light in his veins had settled into a steady glow. Not alien, not human, but something in between. Lyra looked at him, trembling. Ethan, you did it, he smiled weakly. No, we did it. Her lips parted in disbelief, then curved into the softest smile he'd ever seen. She leaned forward, touching her forehead to his. Their heartbeats, no longer separate, echoed as one rhythm. They had defied both biology and destiny. Two worlds had merged in the space between their hearts. The world had never looked the same again. The city's skyline shimmered faintly, as if the resonance between Ethan and Lyra had left a permanent imprint. Neon lights bent differently, reflections fractured with a subtle glow, and the air itself hummed and quiet, almost musical, whenever they moved. Ethan walked beside Lyra through the streets, their hands intertwined. His pulse still carried the faint threads of her energy, golden and silver weaving through him like a secret symphony. He could feel her heartbeat as if it were his own, steady, warm, infinite. "Do you ever get used to it?" he asked softly. Lyra shook her head, smiling. "No, but I like it. Being half human keeps me grounded, keeps me connected to you." He squeezed her hand. "I guess we're both in between now. Not one world, not the other. Something new." She nodded, her eyes glowing faintly in the evening light. "And eternal," she added, almost in a whisper. They found a quiet rooftop overlooking the city. The wind carried the faint scent of rain and electricity. Lyra crouched to gaze at the streets below, and Ethan joined her, sitting close enough that their shoulders touched. "You know," Ethan said, "I never thought someone like you would actually knock on my door." Her lips curved into a small, teasing smile. "You mean the hottest alien vampire who ignored you in school?" He laughed softly, shaking his head. "Yeah, that one. I had my reasons," she said, her voice softer now, almost shy. "But I never expected—" This? He asked, glancing at her. "This," she whispered, leaning closer. Her lips brushed his cheek, then hovered at his neck. The familiar tingle returned. The one he had felt the first night. The one that made every nerve in his body alert, alive. "I came for a small bite," she said, playful yet intimate, her fangs grazing his skin gently. Ethan shivered, not with fear but with anticipation. "I think I've been waiting for it forever." And then, as their lips met, not in hunger but in devotion, the world seemed to pause. The city lights blurred into streaks of gold and silver. The hum of the streets matched their shared heartbeat. When she pulled back, her eyes shone with quiet triumph. "Forever," she whispered. Ethan smiled, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "Forever," he repeated. In the weeks that followed, they explored the boundaries of their merged existence. Ethan no longer aged. His senses had sharpened to superhuman levels, yet he retained the warmth and emotion that made him human. Lyra walked the earth with him, learning what it meant to feel grounded, to taste emotion, to share the small moments humans often took for granted. Sunsets, coffee, laughter, even heartbreak. They were both anomalies now, bridges between worlds, hearts entwined, love eternal. The Empire never came again. Or if it did, it found nothing but whispers of two beings who had rewritten the rules, and who no longer belonged to either their original worlds. And every night, when Ethan fell asleep, Lyra would take a small, tender bite, not to feed, but to remind them both of the first night they truly became one. A ritual of love, not hunger, a heartbeat shared, a connection unbroken. Through centuries, through galaxies, through the infinite stretch of time and space, they would remain together. One human. One alien, two hearts, one resonance, a small bite, forever the end.